We're at Dragonfly Ridge, a project by Chuckanut Builders, and this place is extraordinary. You look at the architecture here, and the architect did a stunning job. It not only sits incredibly well on the site, this perspective and this massing is just beautiful. It's not this enormous, monstrous house. It sits lightly on the land, it doesn't dominate the skyline, and it has views forever. This is also one of the first projects that I've ever seen that's made from prefabricated panels. These are 2x6 walls that are pre-built off-site by a panel manufacturer. They take plywood and 2x6s, they build the walls with top plates and bottom plates, they fill them with dense packed cellulose, and they put a membrane called Intello over the outside. And those panels can be anywhere from 10 feet tall to 30 feet long. And it is absolutely amazing when you see them come in. In these pictures, you see them flying into these panels. It is a sight to behold. I've built actually a lot of SIP panels. SIP panels are kind of like these prefabricated panels, but instead of being much lower embodied carbon, SIP panels have plywood or OSB on the outsides, and they're laminated or glued to a core of polystyrene. They're kind of the less efficient, less natural building material way of building the same essential products as these panels. Now, one of the things about panels is that it takes a lot of time and a lot of energy in development to make sure that the architecture meets the panel dimensions and meets the structural requirements from the structural engineer. One of the challenges of panelizing a house is that if your house is square and has a flat roof or a two-pane roof, it's very easy to make those drawings. But we live in California in seismic zones and areas like Florida with high wind zones and hurricane zones. The structural engineering is a big part of how we build these houses. And panelized construction has a lot of problem with that. They generally don't play well when you have a lot of structural engineering demands on a project. And that's when the whole benefit of panelized systems, the ability to make panels off-site, to bring them in and assemble them quickly, starts to fall apart. I saw it in SIP construction, I'm seeing it in panelized construction. But I'd like to go through some of the details that make panelized systems really, really cool, and also some of the weaknesses of panelized systems. For instance, you see behind me these really tall walls that are just absolutely massive. These were brought in very, very quickly, but they required a crane to install, and cranes are very expensive, and you often have to plan your work way ahead to make sure you have a crane available. They put these panels in place, then they nail them off. But we're limited, the size of the panels are limited by what you can ship on freeways, and so you have these dimensions that are often very long but not very tall, not very wide, or very wide but not very tall. And so we're limited by what we can build off-site and then truck onto the site. Additionally, if you don't have control of the quality of the craftsmanship at the factory, you have to repair that quality in the field. And you'll see behind us all of these little black dots. This is all work that had to be done by the site crew to fix an overdriving of nails, meaning the guys that were nailing off the panels in the factory overdrove the nails. So the nails went below the surface of the plywood, diminishing the strength of each one of those nails. It also put a hole in the envelope or the air barrier between the outside and the inside. And that's critical on a high performance house. And so the guys in this field had to go through all of these panels everywhere and seal every one of these nails so that they wouldn't leak air. And then in whole sections, they had to re-nail the panels to actually add enough nails so that the inspectors and the structural engineers approve the installation of these panels for seismic. That's a lot of extra work and had to be addressed because it was a mistake from the panel manufacturer. I'm a big fan of taking the human error potential out of most of the work that we do. And so we use big blankets of material called Intello, which is a peel and stick membrane. It's really hard to mess it up. It's possible, and we've seen some of our subs do it, which is why we do it in-house now. But it is a really great material. There's other materials by other manufacturers, but they are bomb-proof, and instead of having to tape every seam between every panel, you tape the entire wall, relieving any potential for air to come out of that wall, which means that none of those black dots would have had to have been done, and none of that tape would have had to have been done. saving a lot of time and a lot of money and a lot of effort by the rest of the construction team that were honestly probably doing a lot of other stuff. Additionally, you'll see that we have interior framing on all of these walls because you don't want to run wires or plumbing inside these panels. So that only takes a lot of square footage from the inside of the house, but it adds a lot of extra work. So these panels are manufactured by a company in British Columbia in a very cold place on the planet. And they have to design their panels so that the air barrier is on the inside of the insulation because it's so cold that they don't want condensation happening in the middle of the panel. Because California is a much more temperate climate, we can put our air barrier on the outside of the walls and not worry about condensation happening on the inside of the panels. That's super, super important. So the reason that these companies use this plywood on the inside is they're using the plywood as an air barrier, where in California, we use the plywood as a structural reinforcement of the walls. Here, it's both. Now that changes the details that we have to use to build these panels and causes the guys in the field to have to think differently. And that generally has a big learning curve. So I like to keep as much as we can to standardize construction whenever possible. So now we have all of these interior walls that have this additional layer of framing. So essentially we built a frame inside of the house envelope. That's a lot of extra work. And the craziest thing is that you have to be perfect with your concrete foundation anchors, like within 1/8 of an inch, and you have to then work with your engineer to retrofit either new anchors or you have to add splicing and stuff. I, again, like to make it so that my projects account for the errors in the guys in the field because we're all humans and we're all gonna make errors. And so you have to do a lot more work to prep a project to use panels than you do if you're just stick framing it. Additionally, it's a whole new set of learned skills from the guys in the field. And lastly, and this is common of all panelized systems, is they have benefits and they have negatives. One of the big negatives of all panelized systems is that they come in discrete increments, 4 feet, the width of a plywood or something like that. And if you have a wall that's 3.5 feet, now you're losing some of the efficiency of that 4-foot panel system. If you don't design the house to account for the limitations in the panel, you're adding additional costs and additional time and framing to do these panelized systems. And again, losing part of the benefit that panelized systems offer us. So it's really important to decide if you're going to use panelized systems early and then design around the benefits and the detriments of those panelized systems. The promise of panelized systems has not arrived. In my opinion, in construction that is custom homes or homes on small lots, panelized systems have significant detrimental effects, largely access, delivery, the ability to modify the structure to account for custom construction, and cost and time, which is really some of their big benefits. Now, if I was building multifamily or I was building a big square box in a big field where access was easy, the walls were long and straight, the roof was plain, panelized systems would be a great opportunity. Or if I had an architect that specialized in panelized systems and designing around panelized systems, I think they're a great opportunity to save money and save time. But that's not what we build. That's generally not what we see being built in the Bay Area. And we're not seeing the benefit of panelized systems. If you're interested in learning more about building science or about building a better way, hit subscribe as we show you how to build a better way.